Mr. Speaker. Thank you. You can smile. It's okay. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Please. Mr. Speaker, Madam Vice President, our First Lady and Second Gentleman, good to see you guys up there. Members of Congress, by the way, Chief Justice, I may need a court order. She gets to go to the game tomorrow, next week. I have to stay home. Got to work something out here. Members of the Cabinet, leaders of our military, Chief Justice, Associate Justice, and retired Justice of the Supreme Court, and to you, my fellow Americans. You know, I start tonight by congratulating the 118th Congress and the new Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy. Speaker, I don't want to ruin your reputation, but I look forward to working with you. And I want to congratulate the new leader of the House Democrats, the first African-American minority leader in history, Hakeem Jeffries. He won in spite of the fact I campaigned for him. Congratulations to the longest-serving leader in the history of the United States Senate, Mitch McConnell. Where are you, Mitch?
Shout her out, Mitch. That's funny.
And congratulations to Chuck Schumer, another term as Senate Minority Leader. I think you. Only this time you have a slightly bigger majority, Mr. Leader. You're the majority leader. About that much bigger? Yeah. Well, I tell you what. I want to give special recognition to someone who I think is going to be considered the greatest speaker in the history of the House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah, right. She is definitely not the greatest speaker in the history of the House. Definitely not.
Folks, the story of America is a story of progress and resilience, of always moving forward, of never, ever giving up. It's a story unique among all nations. We're the only country that has emerged from every crisis we've ever entered stronger than we got into it. Look, folks, that's what we're doing again. 2 years ago, the economy was reeling. I stand here tonight after we've created, with the help of many people in this room, 12 million new jobs, more jobs created in 2 years than any president's created in 4 years, because of you all, because of the American people.
Yeah, that's because we lost a ton of jobs during the pandemic. Yeah, it's
2 years
to
ago,
create jobs that we've already lost, right? That's very easy to do.
And 2 years ago, COVID had shut down, our businesses were closed, our schools were robbed of so much, and today, COVID no longer controls our lives. And 2 years ago, democracy faced its greatest threats in the Civil War, and today, though bruised, our democracy remains unbowed and unbroken.
Our democracy. Our democracy. They love that word democracy, bro, even though they don't really believe in democracy.
As we gather here tonight, we're writing the next chapter in the great American story, a story of progress and resilience. When world leaders ask me to define America, and they do, believe it or not, I say I can define it in one word, and I mean this: possibilities. We don't think anything is beyond our capacity. Everything is a possibility. You know, we're often told that Democrats and Republicans can't work together. But over the past 2 years, we've proved the cynics and naysayers wrong. Yes, we disagreed plenty. And yes, there were times when Democrats went alone. But time and again, Democrats and Republicans came together to defend a stronger and safer Europe. It came together to pass once-in-a-generation infrastructure law, building bridges connecting our nation and our people. We came together to pass the most significant law ever, helping victims exposed to toxic burn pits. And in fact, it was important. And in fact, I signed over 300 bipartisan pieces of legislation since becoming president.
That's not me, that's Fox News.
From reauthorizing the Violence Against Women Act, the Electoral Count Reform Act,
computer messing
the
up.
Respect for Marriage Act that protects the right to marry the person you love. And to my Republican friends, if we could work together the last Congress, there's no reason we can't work together and find consensus on important things in this Congress as well. I think.
Is he really willing to work with Republicans, though? That's the question.
Folks,
right. If he really willing to work with Republicans on investigating him and his son.
You all are as
That's
informed
how I
as
wanna
I
see
am,
it.
but I think the people sent us a clear message. Fighting for the sake of fighting, power for the sake of power, conflict for the sake of conflict gets us nowhere. That's always been my vision of our country, and I know it's many of yours. To restore the soul of this nation, to rebuild the backbone of America, America's middle class, and to unite the country. We've been sent here to finish the job, in my view. For decades, the middle class has been hollowed out in more than, and not no one administration, but for a long time. Too many good-paying manufacturing jobs move overseas. Factories closed down. Once thriving cities and towns that many of you represent became shadows of what they used to be. And along the way, something else we lost: pride, our sense of self-worth. I ran for president to fundamentally change things, to make sure our economy works for everyone, so we can all feel that pride in what we do. To build an economy from the bottom up and the middle out, not from the top down. Because when the middle class does well, the poor have a ladder up, and the wealthy still do very well. We all do well. I know a lot of you always kid me for always quoting my dad, but my dad used to say, Joey, a job's about a lot more than a paycheck. He really would say this. It's about a lot more than a paycheck. It's about your dignity. It's about respect. It's about being able to look your kid in the eye and say, honey, it's going to be okay, and mean it. Well, folks, so let's look at the results. We're not finished yet by any stretch of the imagination, but unemployment rate is at 3.4%, a 50-year low. A near record unemployment. Near record unemployment for Black and Hispanic workers. We've already created, with your help, 800,000 good-paying manufacturing jobs, the fastest growth in 40 years. And where is it written? Where is it written that America can't lead the world in manufacturing? And I don't know where that's written. For too many decades, we imported projects and exported jobs. Now, thanks to what you've all done, we're exporting American products and creating American jobs. Folks, Inflation has been a global problem because the pandemic disrupted our supply chains, and Putin's unfair and brutal war in Ukraine disrupted energy supplies as well as food supplies, blocking all that grain in Ukraine. But we're better positioned than any country on earth right now. But we have more to do. But here at home, inflation is coming down. Here at home, gas prices are down $1.50 from their peak. Food inflation is coming down, not fast enough, but coming down. Inflation has fallen every month for the last 6 months, while take-home pay has gone up. Additionally, over the last 2 years, a record 10 million Americans applied to start new businesses. 10 million. And by the way, every time someone starts a small business is an act of hope. And Madam Vice President, I want to thank you for leading that effort to ensure that small businesses have access to capital and the historic laws we enacted that are going to just come into being. Standing here last year, I shared with you a story of American genius and possibilities. Semiconductors, small computer chips the size of a fingerprint that power everything, from cell phones to automobiles and so much more. These chips were invented in America. Let's get that straight. They were invented in America. We used to make 40% of the world's chips. In the last several decades, we lost our edge. We're down to only producing 10%. We all saw what happened during the pandemic when chip factories shut down overseas. Today's automobiles need 3,000 chips, each of those automobiles. But American automobiles couldn't make enough cars because there weren't enough chips. Car prices went up, people got laid off, so did everything from refrigerators to cell phones. We can never let that happen again. That's why we came together to pass the Bipartisan Chips and Science Act.
Yeah, them polls are not kind of matching what Joe Biden's saying in terms of how people actually feel.
But I'm not changing my view. We're going to make sure the supply chain for America begins in America. The supply chain begins in America. We've already created 800,000 new manufacturing jobs without this law, before the law kicks in. With this new law, we're going to create hundreds of thousands of new jobs across the country. And I mean all across the country, throughout not just the coast, but through the middle of the country as well. That's going to come from companies that have announced more than $300 billion in investment in American manufacturing over the next few years. Outside of Columbus, Ohio, Intel is building semiconductor factories on 1,000 acres, literally a field of dreams. It's going to create 10,000 jobs, that one investment, 7,000 construction jobs, 3,000 jobs in those factories once they're finished. They call them factors. Jobs paying an average of $130,000 a year, and many do not require a college degree. Jobs. Because we work together, these jobs where people don't have to leave home to search for opportunity. And it's just getting started. Think about the new homes, the small businesses, the medium-sized businesses. So much more that's going to be needed to support those 3,000 permanent jobs and the factories that are going to be built. Talk to mayors and governors, Democrats and Republicans, and they'll tell you what this means for their communities. We're seeing these field of dreams transform to the heartland. But to maintain the strongest economy in the world, we need the best infrastructure in the world. And folks, as you all know, we used to be #1 in the world in infrastructure. We've sunk to 13th in the world. The United States of America, 13th in the world in infrastructure, modern infrastructure. But now we're coming back because we came together and passed the bipartisan infrastructure law, the largest investment in infrastructure since President Eisenhower's interstate highway system. And folks, already we've funded over 20,000 projects, including major airports from Boston to Atlanta to Portland. Projects that are going to put thousands of people to work rebuilding our highways, our bridges, our railroads, our tunnels, ports, airports, clean water, high-speed internet, all across America. Urban, rural, tribal. And folks, we're just getting started. We're just getting started. And I mean this sincerely. I want to thank my Republican friends who voted for the law, and my Republican friends who voted against it as well. But I still get asked to fund the projects in those districts as well, but don't worry. I promised I'd be a president for all Americans.
Yeah, y'all funny
We'll
in the
fund
chat,
these
bro.
projects.
The chat is more
And I'll see you at the groundbreaking.
than this speech.
Look, this law will further unite all of America. Projects like Brent Spence Bridge in Kentucky over the Ohio River, built 60 years ago, badly needed repairs, one of the nation's most congested freight routes, carrying $2 billion worth of freight every single day across the Ohio River. And folks, we've been talking about fixing it for decades, but we're really finally going to get it done. I went there last month with Democrats and Republicans and from both states to deliver a commitment of $1.6 billion for this project. And while I was there, I met a young woman named Sarah, who's here tonight. I don't know where Sarah is. Is she up in the box? I don't know. Sarah, how are you? Well, Sarah, for 30 years, I learned, she told me she'd been a proud member of the Iron Workers Local 44, known as the Cowboys in the Sky. The folks who built Cincinnati's skyline. Sarah said she can't wait to be 10 stories above the Ohio River building that new bridge. God bless her. That's pride. And that's what we're also building. We're building back pride. Look, we're also replacing poisonous lead pipes that go into 10 million homes in America, 400,000 school and child care centers. So every child in America can drink the water instead of having permanent damage to their brain. Look, we're making sure that every community in America has access to affordable high-speed internet. No parent should have to drive by McDonald's parking lot to help them do their homework online with their kids, which many thousands were doing across the country.
What?
And when we do these projects, and again, I get criticized.
Definitely made that up. Y'all going to McDonald's to get Wi-Fi and do homework.
We're going to buy America. Folks,
Where did you get that from?
And it's totally consistent with international trade rules. Buy America has been the law since 1933, but for too long, past administrations, Democrat and Republican, have fought to get around it. Not anymore. Tonight, I'm announcing new standards that require all construction materials used in federal infrastructure projects to be made in America. Made in America. I mean it. Lumber, glass, drywall, fiber optic cable. And on my watch, American roads, bridges, and American highways are going to be made with American products as well. Folks, my economic plan is about investing in places and people that have been forgotten. So many of you listening to me tonight, I know you feel it. So many of you felt like you've just simply been forgotten. Amid the economic upheaval of the past 4 decades, too many people have been left behind and treated like they're invisible. Maybe that's you watching from home. Remember the jobs that went away. You remember them, don't you? The folks at home remember them. You wonder whether the path even exists anymore for your children to get ahead without having to move away. Well, that's why, I get that. That's why we're building an economy where no one's left behind. Jobs are coming back. Pride is coming back because choices we made in the last several years. You know, this is, in my view, a blue-collar blueprint to rebuild America and make a real difference in your lives at home. For example, too many of you lay in bed at night like my dad did, staring at the ceiling, wondering what in God's name happens if your spouse gets cancer, or your child gets deadly ill, or something happens to you. What are you going to get money to pay for those medical bills? Or are you going to have to sell the house or try to get a second mortgage on it? I get it. I get it. With the Inflation Reduction Act that I signed into law, we're taking on powerful interests to bring health care costs down so you can sleep better at night with more security. You know, we pay more for prescription drugs than any nation in the world. Let me say it again. We pay more for prescription drugs than any major nation on earth. For example, 1 in 10 Americans has diabetes. Many of you in this chamber do, and in the audience. But every day, millions need insulin to control their diabetes so they can literally stay alive. Insulin's been around for over 100 years. The guy who invented it didn't even patent it because he wanted it to be available for everyone. It cost the drug companies roughly $10 a vial to make that insulin. Packaging it all, you may get up to $13. But Big Pharma has been unfairly charging people hundreds of dollars, $400 to $500 a month, making record profits. Not anymore. Not anymore.
Yo, I ain't gonna lie, this is boring. I'm about to fall asleep. I was already tired before I got in on this stream. I didn't even want to do it, but I was like, I'm gonna do it because I promised I would stream more. But this is boring. I'm about to fall asleep.
We said we were doing this, and we said we passed the law to do it, but people didn't know because the law didn't take effect until January 1 of this year. We capped the cost of insulin at $35 a month for seniors on Medicare. People are just finding out. I'm sure you're getting the same calls I'm getting. Look, there are millions of other Americans who do not or are not on Medicare, including 200,000 young people with type 1 diabetes who need this insulin to stay alive. Let's finish the job this time. Let's cap the cost of insulin for everybody at $35. Folks, and Big Pharma's still going to do very well, I promise you all. I promise you they're going to do very well. This law also caps and won't even go into effect until 2025. It costs out-of-pocket drug costs for seniors on Medicare at a maximum of $2,000 a year. You don't have to pay more than $2,000 a year, no matter how much your drug costs are. Because you know why? You all know it. Many of you, like many in my family, have cancer. You know the drugs can range from $10,000, $11,000, $14,000, $15,000 for the cancer drugs. And if drug prices rise faster than inflation, drug companies are going to have to pay Medicare back the difference. We're finally giving Medicare the power to negotiate drug prices. Bringing down prescription drug costs doesn't just save seniors money, it cuts the federal deficit by billions of dollars, by hundreds of billions of dollars. Because these prescription drugs are drugs purchased by Medicare to keep their commitment to the seniors. Well, guess what? Instead of paying $400 or $500 a month, you're paying $15. That's a lot of savings for the federal government. And by the way, why wouldn't we want that? Now, some members here are threatening, and I know it's not an official party position, so I'm going to exaggerate, but threatening to repeal the Inflation Reduction Act. As my coach, that's okay, that's fair. As my football coach used to say, lots of luck in your senior year. Make no mistake, if you try anything to raise the cost of prescription drugs, I will veto it. Look.
I don't know if that's my president. That's definitely
I'm pleased to say
not my president.
that more Americans have health insurance now than ever in history. A record 16 million people are enrolled in the Affordable Care Act. And thanks to the law I signed last year, saving millions are saving $800 a year on their premiums. And by the way, that law was written and the benefit expires in 2025. So my plea to some of you, at least in this audience, let's finish the job and make these savings permanent. Expand coverage of Medicaid. Look, the Inflation Reduction Act is also the most significant investment ever in climate change. Ever. Lowering utility bills, creating American jobs, leading the world to a clean energy future. I visited the devastating aftermath of record floods, droughts, storms, and wildfires from Arizona to New Mexico to all the way up to the Canadian border. More timber has been burned, as I've observed from helicopters, than the entire state of Missouri. And we don't have global warming? Not a problem. In addition to emergency recovery, from Puerto Rico to Florida to Idaho, we're rebuilding for the long term. New electric grids that are able to weather major storms and not prevent those forest fires. Roads and water systems will withstand the next big flood. Clean energy to cut pollution and create jobs in communities often left behind. We're going to build 500,000 electric vehicle charging stations installed across the country by tens of thousands of IBEW workers. And we're helping families save more than $1,000 a year with tax credits to purchase electric vehicles and efficient appliances, energy-efficient appliances. Historic conservation efforts to be responsible stewards of our land. Let's face reality. The climate crisis doesn't care if you're in a red or blue state. It's an existential threat. We have an obligation, not to ourselves, but to our children and grandchildren to confront it. I'm proud of how America, at last, is stepping up to the challenge. We're still going to need oil and gas for a while. But guess what? No, we do. But there's so much more to do. We got to finish the job.
Jesus Christ.
We pay for these investments in our future by finally making the wealthiest and biggest corporations.
This is tough to get through. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I'm super tired. This is tough.
Look, I'm a capitalist.
You
I'm
a capitalist, Joe?
Pay your fair share. I think a lot of you at home agree with me and many people that you know. The tax system is not fair. It is not fair.
You've been in Congress for so many years. Why didn't you change it? Right? You've been in Congress for so long, Joe. You had so much time to change it.
The idea
I don't understand
that in 2020, 55 of the largest corporations in America, the Fortune 500, made $40 billion in profits and paid zero in federal taxes? Zero? Folks, it's simply not fair. But now, because of the law I signed, billion-dollar companies have to pay a minimum of 15%. God love them. 15%. That's less than a nurse pays. And let me be crystal clear. I said at the very beginning, under my plans, as long as I'm president, nobody earning less than $400,000 will pay an additional penny in taxes. Nobody, not one penny.
I don't know, man.
But let's
Definitely
finish the job.
Inflation.
There's more to do.
Right. Inflation is a hidden tax.
We have to reward work, not just wealth.
The middle class. So you've definitely taxed the middle class, Joe, for sure.
The billionaire minimum tax. You know, there's 1,000 billionaires in America. It's up from about 600 in the beginning of the term. But no billionaire should be paying a lower tax rate than a school teacher or firefighter. I mean it. Think about it. I mean, look. I know you aren't enthusiastic about that.
Facts. I am about to get some good sleep after this.
Think about it.
I can't wait till this is over.
Have you noticed Big Oil just reported its profits, record profits? Last year they made $200 billion in the midst of a global energy crisis. I think is outrageous. Why? They invested too little of that profit to increase domestic production. And when I talk to a couple of them, they say, we're afraid you're going to shut down all the oil wells, all the oil refineries anyway, so why should we invest in them? I said, we're going to need oil for at least another decade. And that's going to exceed, and beyond that, we're going to need it. Production. If they had, in fact, invested in the production to keep gas prices down, instead, they used the record profits to buy back their own stock, rewarding their CEOs and shareholders. Corporations ought to do the right thing. That's why I propose we quadruple the tax on corporate stock buybacks and encourage long-term investments. They'll still make considerable profit.
You know what's funny? They said
Let's
Trump's
finish
speech
the job
was low
and
energy.
close the loopholes that
They said it
allow
was
very
boring.
wealthy to avoid
They're
paying
going to say
their
this is
taxes.
energetic,
Instead
this
of
is
cutting
exciting,
the number of audits
this
for
was
wealthy
great.
taxpayers,
Joe's
I just signed
back.
a law to
This is
reduce
what
the
they're going to
deficit
say
by
on CNN.
$114 billion by cracking down on wealthy tax cheats. That's being fiscally responsible.
Yeah, I don't think you
In the last 2 years, my administration has cut the deficit by more than $1.7 trillion. The largest deficit reduction in American history.
That's a lie. No, you did not.
Under the previous administration, the American deficit went up 4 years in a row.
Oh, my God.
Because those record deficits, no president added more to the national debt in any 4 years than my predecessor.
Yeah, because you
nearly 25% of the entire national debt that took over 200 years to accumulate was added by just one administration alone, the last one.
They're the last
They're the facts.
year.
Check it out.
Last year, we shut down the economy.
Check it out.
We spent trillions of
How
dollars
did Congress
on
respond to
stimulus.
that debt? They did the
wasn't all
right thing.
Trump,
They lifted the debt ceiling 3 times without preconditions or crisis. They paid American bills to prevent an economic disaster to the country. So tonight I'm asking the Congress to follow suit. Let's commit here tonight to the full faith and credit of the United States of America will never, ever be questioned. Some of my Republican friends want to take the economy hostage. I get it, unless I agree to their economic plans. All of you at home should know what those plans are. Instead of making the wealthy pay their fair share, some Republicans want Medicare and Social Security to sunset. I'm not saying it's a majority. Let me give you, anybody who doubts it, contact my office. I'll give you a copy. I'll give you a copy of the proposal.
Or Medicare or Medicaid.
That means Congress doesn't
This is
vote.
one of the biggest lies from
Well, I'm glad to see you. No,
Yeah, they should boo his ass.
I enjoy conversion.
Boo Joe Biden off of the podium, bro.
If Congress doesn't keep the programs the way they are, they'd go away. Other Republicans say, I'm not saying it's a majority of you. I don't even think it's even a significant.
Bro, what is wrong with this
but
guy?
It's being proposed by individuals.
He's lying.
I'm not politely not naming them, but it's being proposed by some of you.
What the hell is going on? Bro, what is going on, bro?
Folks, the idea is that we're not going to be moved into being threatened to default on the debt if we don't respond. Folks,
Yo, I can't believe this guy. I really cannot believe this guy.
So, folks, as we all apparently agree, Social Security and Medicare is off the books now, right? They're not to be started.
They wasn't going to do that in the first place, you idiot. They weren't going to do that in the first place. What is wrong with this man?
Unanimity.
This dude is an idiot. Bro.
Social Security and Medicare are a lifeline for millions of seniors. Americans have to pay into them from the very first paycheck they started. So tonight, let's all agree, and we apparently are, let's stand up for seniors.
They weren't going to cut Social Security. They weren't cutting Social Security. They're not cutting Medicaid. They're not doing that.
We will not cut Medicare. Those benefits belong to the American people. They earned it. And if anyone tries to cut Social Security, which apparently no one's going to do,
What is wrong with this guy?
And if anyone
he
tries
this
to
is a gotcha.
Medicare,
This is
I'll
not a
stop
gotcha.
them.
This is
I'll
a
veto
lie.
And look, I'm not going to allow them to be taken away. Not today, not tomorrow.
What?
Not
They
ever.
weren't
But
going to
apparently
take.
It's not going to be a problem.
Bruh, oh my God, guys, imagine
Next month, when I offer my fiscal plan, I
saying
ask
that
my
your opponent's
Republican
going to do
friends lay
something
down
they
their
never was
plan
going to
as
do,
well.
and then bragging about them
I
not
really
doing
mean
it, saying that
let's sit down together.
I'm the one that
and
made them
discuss our
not do
mutual
it.
plans together.
This dude is crazy.
Let's do that. I can tell you, the plan I'm going to show you is going to cut the deficit by another $2 trillion.
That's a lie.
And it won't cut a single bit of Medicare or Social Security. In fact, we're going to extend the Medicare Trust Fund at least 2 decades, because that's going to be the next argument. How do we keep it solvent, right? Well, we'll not raise tax on anyone making under 400 grand, but we'll pay for it the way we talked about tonight, by making sure that the wealthy and big corporations pay their fair share. Look.
Okay.
Here's the deal. They aren't just taking advantage of the tax code. They're taking advantage of you, the American consumer. Here's my message to all of you out there. I have your back. We're already preventing Americans from receiving surprise medical bills, stopping $1 billion surprise bills per month so far. We're protecting seniors' life savings by cracking down on nursing homes that commit fraud, endanger patient safety, prescribe drugs that are not needed. Millions of Americans can now save thousands of dollars because they can finally get a hearing aid over the counter without a prescription. Look, capitalism without competition is not capitalism. It's extortion. It's exploitation. Last year, I cracked down with the help of many of you on foreign shipping companies that were making you pay higher prices for every good coming into the country. I signed a bipartisan bill that cut shipping costs by 90%, helping American farmers, businessmen, and consumers. Let's finish the job. Pass the bipartisan legislation to strengthen antitrust enforcement and prevent big online platforms from giving their own products an unfair advantage. My administration is also taking on junk fees, those hidden surcharges too many companies use to make you pay more. For example, we're making airlines show you the full ticket price up front, refund your money if your flight is canceled or delayed. We've reduced exorbitant bank overdrafts by saving consumers more than $1 billion a year. We're cutting credit card late fees by 75%, from $30 to $8. Look, junk fees may not matter to the very wealthy, but they matter to most other folks in homes like the one I grew up in, like many of you did. They add up to hundreds of dollars a month. They make it harder for you to pay your bills or afford that family trip. I know how unfair it feels when a company overcharges you and gets away with it. Not anymore. We've written a bill to stop it all. It's called the Junk Fee Prevention Act. We're going to ban surprise resort fees that hotels charge on your bill. Those fees can cost you up to $90 a night at hotels that aren't even resorts. The idea that cable, internet, and cell phone companies can charge you $200 or more if you decide to switch to another provider. Give me a break. We can stop service fees on tickets to concerts and sporting events and make companies disclose all the fees up front. And we'll prohibit airlines from charging $50 round trip for a family just to be able to sit together. Baggage fees are bad enough. Airlines can't treat your child like a piece of baggage. Americans are tired of being. We're tired of being played for suckers. So pass the Junk Fee Prevention Act so companies stop ripping us off. For too long, workers have been getting stiffed, but not anymore. We're beginning to restore the dignity of work. For example, I should have known this, but I didn't until 2 years ago. 30 million workers have to sign non-compete agreements for the jobs they take. 30 million. So a cashier at a burger place can't walk across town and take the same job at another burger place and make a few bucks more. It just changed. But they just changed it because we exposed it. That was part of the deal, guys. Look it up. But not anymore. We're banning those agreements, so companies have to compete for workers and pay them what they're worth. And I must tell you, this is bound to get a response from my friends on my left but the right. I'm so sick and tired of companies breaking the law by preventing workers from organizing. Pass the PRO Act, because business have a right, workers have a right to form a union. And let's guarantee all workers have a living wage. Let's make sure working parents can afford to raise a family with sick days, paid family medical leave, affordable child care. That's going to enable millions of more people to go and stay at work. And let's restore the full child tax credit, which gave tens of millions of parents some breathing room and cut child poverty in half to the lowest level in history. And by the way, when we do all these things,
they love making that claim.
We increase productivity. We increase economic growth. So let's finish the job and get more families access to affordable, quality housing. Let's get seniors who want to stay in their homes the care they need to do so. Let's give more breathing room to millions of family caregivers looking after their loved ones. Pass my plan so we get seniors and people with disabilities the home care and services they need. And support the workers who are doing God's work. These plans are fully paid for and we can afford to do them. Restoring the dignity of work means making education an affordable ticket to the middle class. You know, when we made public education, 12 years of it, universal in the last century, we made the best educated, best paid, we became the best educated, best paid nation in the world. But the rest of the world's caught up. It's caught up. Jill, my wife, who teaches full time, has an expression. I hope I get it right, kid. Any nation that out-educates us is going to out-compete us. Any nation that out-educates is going to out-compete us. Folks, we all know 12 years of education is not enough to win the economic competition of the 21st century.
Yeah, well, if you care about education,
we want to have the best educated workforce. Let's finish the job by providing access to preschool for 3 and 4 years old. Studies show that children who go to preschool are nearly 50% more likely to finish high school and go on to earn a 2- or 4-year degree, no matter their background they came from. Let's give public school teachers a raise. We're making progress by reducing student debt, increasing Pell Grants for working and middle-class families. Let's finish the job and connect students to career opportunities starting in high school. Provide access to 2 years of community college, the best career training in America in addition to being a pathway to a 4-year degree. Let's offer every American a path to a good career, whether they go to college or not. And folks, in the midst of the COVID crisis, when schools were closed and we were shutting down everything, let's recognize how far we came in the fight against the pandemic itself. While the virus is not gone, thanks to the resilience of the American people and the ingenuity of medicine, we've broken the COVID grip on us. COVID deaths are down by 90%. We've saved millions of lives and opened up our country. We opened our country back up. And soon we'll end the public health emergency. But that's called a public health emergency. But we'll remember the toll and pain that's never going to go away. More than 1 million Americans lost their lives to COVID. 1 million. Families grieving. Children orphaned. Empty chairs at the dining room table constantly reminding you that she used to sit there. Remembering them, we remain vigilant. We still need to monitor dozens of variants and support new vaccines and treatments. So Congress needs to fund these efforts and keep America safe. And as we emerge from this crisis stronger, we're also got to double down on prosecuting criminals who stole relief money meant to keep workers and small businesses afloat. Before I came to office, you remember, during that campaign, the big issue was about inspector generals who would protect taxpayers' dollars who were sidelined. They were fired. Many people said we don't need them. And fraud became rampant. Last year, I told you the watchdogs are back. Since then, we've recovered billions of taxpayers' dollars. Now let's triple the anti-fraud strike force going after these criminals, double the statute of limitations on these crimes, and crack down on identity fraud by criminal syndicates stealing billions of dollars from the American people. And the data shows that for every dollar we put into fighting fraud, the taxpayers get back at least 10 times as much. It matters. It matters. Look, COVID left its scars, like the spike in violent crime in 2020, the first year of the pandemic.
I'm up.
We have an obligation to make sure all people are safe. Public safety depends on public trust, as all of us know.
It's not helping.
But too often that trust is violated. Joining us tonight are the parents of Tyree Nichols. Welcome.
Seven-year-old mom thinks she
had to bury Tyree last week. As many of you personally know, there's no words to describe the heartache or grief of losing a child. But imagine if you lost that child at the hands of the law. Imagine having to worry whether your son or daughter came home from walking down the street, or playing in the park, or just driving a car. Most of us in here have never had to have the talk that brown and black parents have had to have with their children. Bo, Hunter, Ashley, my children. I never had to have the talk with them. I never had to tell them if a police officer pulls you over, turn your interior lights on right away.
Yeah, I'm going to try to do more live streams. We'll see.
Don't reach for your license.
I might have something coming for y'all. We'll see. I'm new to the live streaming thing. I don't really know how to do it. I think I need to start using StreamYard. But I'm going to try to do them at the very least when there's major events and stuff like that.
When I ask her how she finds the courage to carry on and speak out, the faith of God, she said her son was, quote, a beautiful soul, and something good will come of this. Imagine how much courage and character that takes. It's up to us, to all of us. We all want the same thing. Neighborhoods free of violence. Law enforcement who earns the community's trust. Just as every cop, when they pin on that badge in the morning, has a right to be able to go home at night, so does everybody else out there. Our children have a right to come home safely. Equal protection under the law is a covenant we have with each other in America. We know police officers put their lives on the line every single night and day. And we know we ask them in many cases to do too much, to be counselors, social workers, psychologists, responding to drug overdoses, mental health crises, and so much more. In one sense, we ask much too much of them. I know most cops and their families are good, decent, honorable people, the vast majority. But they risk their lives every time they put that shield on. But what happened to Tyree in Memphis happens too often. We have to do better. Give law enforcement the real training they need. Hold them to higher standards. Help them succeed in keeping us safe. We also need more first responders and professionals to address the growing mental health, substance abuse challenges. More resources to reduce violent crime and gun crime. More community intervention programs. More investment in housing, education, and job training. All this can help prevent violence in the first place. When police officers or police departments violate the public trust, they must be held accountable. With the support of the families of victims, civil rights groups, and law enforcement, I signed an executive order for all federal officers, banning chokeholds, restricting no-knock warrants, and other key elements of the George Floyd Act. Let's commit ourselves to make the words of Tyler's mom true. Something good must come from this. Something good. And all of us, folks, it's difficult, but it's simple. All of us in this chamber, we need to rise to this moment. We can't turn away. Let's do what we know in our hearts that we need to do. Let's come together to finish the job on police reform. Do something. Do something. That was the plea of parents who lost their children in Uvalde. I met with every one of them. Do something about gun violence. Thank God. Thank God we did. Passing the most sweeping gun safety law in 3 decades.
I'm not saying much. I'm
that includes
I'm trying to
things
listen like y'all.
That the majority of responsible gun owners already support. Enhanced background checks for 18 to 21 years old. Red flag laws, keeping guns out of the hands of people who are a danger to themselves and others. But we know our work is not done. Joining us tonight is Brandon Say, a 26-year-old hero. Brandon put his college dreams on hold to be at his mom's side when she was dying from cancer. And Brandon now works at a dance studio started by his grandparents. And 2 weeks ago, during the Lunar New Year celebrations, he heard the studio door close, and he saw a man standing there pointing a semi-automatic pistol at him. He thought he was going to die, but he thought about the people inside. And in that instant, he found the courage to act and wrestled a semi-automatic pistol away from the gunman who had already killed 11 people in another dance studio. 11.
Y'all said that was white supremacy.
He saved lives.
And that's what y'all said.
It's time we do the same. Ban assault weapons now. Ban them now. Once and for all. I led the fight to do that in 1994. In 10 years, that ban was law and mass shootings went down. After we let it expire in the Republican administration, mass shootings tripled. Let's finish the job and ban these assault weapons.
Bruh, it didn't work.
And let's also come together on immigration. Make it a bipartisan issue once again. We now have a record number of personnel working to secure the border, arresting 8,000 human smugglers, seizing over 23,000 pounds of fentanyl in just the last several months. We've launched a new border plan last month. Unlawful migration from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela has come down 97% as a consequence of that. But American border problems won't be fixed until Congress acts. If we don't pass my comprehensive immigration reform, at least pass my plan to provide the equipment and officers to secure the border. And a pathway to citizenship for dreamers, those on temporary status, farm workers, essential workers. Here in the People's House, it's our duty to protect all the people's rights and freedoms. Congress must restore the right and the Congress must restore the right that was taken away in Roe v. Wade and protect Roe v. Wade.
There was no rights taken away, my guy.
Give every woman a consular right.
There was no rights taken. Again, another lie.
The Vice President and I are doing everything.
Jesus, all these people
Protect access to reproductive health care and safeguard patient safety. But already more than a dozen states are enforcing extreme abortion bans. Make no mistake about it. If Congress passes a national ban, I will veto it.
We're not passing a national ban,
but
bro.
let's also
Nobody's
pass
passing a national ban. Nobody's cutting Social Security.
Let's also pass the Bipartisan Equality Act.
Nobody's passing a national ban on abortion.
LGBTQ Americans, especially transgender young people, can live with safety and dignity. Our strength is not just the example of our power, but the power of our example. Let's remember the world's watching. I spoke in this chamber 1 year ago, just days after Vladimir Putin unleashed his brutal attack against Ukraine. A murderous assault, evoking images of death and destruction Europe suffered in World War II. Putin's invasion has been a test for the ages, test for America,
generals,
test for the world.
Generals.
Would we stand for the most basic of principles? Would we stand for sovereignty? Would we stand for the right of people to live free of tyranny? Would we stand for the defense of democracy? For such defense matters to us because it keeps peace and prevents open season on would-be aggressors and threatens our prosperity. 1 year later, we know the answer. Yes, we would, and we did. We did. And together, we did what America always does at our best. We led. We united NATO. We built a global coalition. We stood against Putin's aggression. We stood with the Ukrainian people. Tonight, we're once again joined by Ukrainian's ambassador to the United States. She represents not just her nation, but the courage of her people. Our ambassador is here. We're united in our support of your country. Will you stand so we can all take a look at you? Thank you. Because we're going to stand with you as long as it takes.
I don't blame anybody who can't watch this. Because I'm going to tell you, I can barely watch it.
Our nation is working for more freedom, more dignity, more peace. Not just in Europe, but everywhere.
Nah, I might be falling asleep.
Before I came to office, the story was about how
the
People's Republic of China was increasing its power, and America was failing in the world. Not anymore. We made clear, and I made clear in my personal conversations, which have been many, with President Xi, that we seek competition, not conflict. But I will make no apologies that we're investing to make America stronger. Investing in American innovation and industries that will define the future that China intends to be dominating. Investing in our alliances and working with our allies to protect advanced technologies so they will not be used against us. Modernizing our military to safeguard stability and deter aggression. Today, we're in the strongest position in decades to compete with China or anyone else in the world. Anyone else in the world. And I'm committed. I'm committed to work with China where we can advance American interests and benefit the world. But make no mistake about it.
I'm sure you want to work with China.
As we made clear last week, if China threatens our sovereignty, we will act to protect our country, and we did.
No, you didn't. You waited. You waited till they got everything they needed, everything they wanted.
Let's be clear.
You didn't act.
Winning the competition should unite all of us. We face serious challenges across the world. But in the past 2 years, democracies have become stronger, not weaker. Autocracies have grown weaker, not stronger. Name me a world leader who changed places with Xi Jinping. Name me one. Name me one.
What?
America's rallying the world to meet those challenges, from climate to global health, to food insecurity, to terrorism, to territorial aggression. Allies are stepping up, spending more and doing more. Look, the bridges we're forming between partners in the Pacific and those in the Atlantic, and those who bet against America are learning how wrong they are. It's never, ever been a good bet to bet against America. Never. Well, when I came to office, most assured that bipartisanship assumed was impossible, but I never believed it. That's why a year ago I offered a unity agenda to the nation as I stood here. We made real progress together. We passed a law making it easy for doctors to prescribe effective treatments for opioid addiction. We passed the gun safety law, making historic investments in mental health. We launched the ARPA-H drive for breakthrough in the fights against cancer, Alzheimer's, and diabetes, and so much more. We passed the Heath Robinson PACT Act, named after the late Iraq War veteran whose story about exposure to toxic burn kits I shared here last year. I understand something about those burn pits, but there's so much more to do. We can do it together. Joining us tonight is a father named Doug from Newton, New Hampshire. He wrote Jill, my wife, a letter, and me as well, about his courageous daughter, Courtney. A contagious laugh, his sister's best friend, her sister's best friend. He shared a story all too familiar to millions of Americans and many of you in the audience. Courtney discovered pills in high school. It spiraled into addiction and eventually death from a fentanyl overdose. She was just 20 years old. Describing the last 8 years without her, Doug said, "There's no worse pain." Yet their family has turned pain to purpose, working to end the stigma and change laws. He told us he wants to start a journey toward American recovery. Doug, we're with you. Fentanyl is killing more than 70,000 Americans a year. You got it.
Yeah, it's the border. Yeah, Joe. That's the border, Joe. That's you. That's Kamala. That's Kamala. Yeah, that's you, Joe. What's up with that, Joe?
So let's launch a major surge to stop fentanyl production.
Yeah, let's close the border.
Sale and trafficking, with more drug detection machines, inspection cargo, stop pills and powder at the border.
I don't know, man. I think you need to just close the border.
Working with couriers like FedEx to inspect more packages for drugs. Strong penalties to crack down on fentanyl trafficking. Second, let's do more in mental health, especially for our children. When millions of young people are struggling with bullying, violence, trauma, we give them greater access to mental health care at their schools. We must finally hold social media companies accountable for experimenting they're doing running children for profit. There's time to pass bipartisan legislation to stop big tech from collecting personal data on our kids and teenagers online. Ban targeted advertising to children and impose stricter limits on the personal data that companies collect on all of us. Third, let's do more to keep this nation's one truly sacred obligation, to equip those we send into harm's way and care for them and their families when they come home. Job training, job placement for veterans and their spouses as they come to return to civilian life. Helping veterans afford the rent, because no one should be homeless in America, especially someone who served the country.
All right, we'll get some of that Ukraine money to the homeless vets then. All right, you can say that all you want. Give some of that money that we send to Ukraine to the homeless vets, if that's what you care about.
Dennis McDonough is here of the VA. We had a first real discussion when I asked him to take the job. I'm glad he did. We were losing up to 25 veterans a day on suicide. Now we're losing 17 a day to the silent scourge of suicide. 17 veterans a day are committing suicide. More than all the people being killed in the wars. Folks, VA is doing everything it can, including expanding mental health screening, proven programs that recruits veterans to help other veterans understand what they're going through, get them the help they need. We got to do more. And fourth, last year, Jill and I reignited the cancer moonshot that I was able to start with President Obama asked me to lead our administration on this issue. Our goal is to cut the cancer death rates at least by 50% in the next 25 years. Turn more cancers from death sentences to treatable diseases. Provide more support for patients and their families. It's personal to so many of us in this audience. Joining us are Morris and Candice, an Irishman and the daughter of immigrants from Panama. They met and fell in love in New York City and got married in the same chapel Jill and I got married in New York City. Kindred spirits. He wrote us a letter about his little daughter, Ava, and I saw her just before I came over. She was just a year old when she was diagnosed with rare kidney disease, cancer. After 26 blood transfusions, 11 rounds of radiation, 8 rounds of chemo, 1 kidney removed, giving a 5% survival rate. He wrote how in the darkest moments he thought, if she goes, I can't stay. Many of you have been through that as well. Jill and I understand that like so many of you. And he read Jill's book describing our family's cancer journey and how we tried to steal moments of joy where we could with Bo. For them, that glimmer of joy was the half smile of their baby girl. It meant everything to them. They never gave up hope. Little Ava never gave up hope. She turns 4 next month. They just found out Ava's beating the odds, is on her way to being cured of cancer.
Who can't
and
get through this.
She's watching from the White House tonight and she's not asleep already. For the lives we can save.
He is just killing Tom. He really is. He should have been done in an hour, bro. He should have been done at an hour. Should have been over at 10 o'clock.
The lives we can save and the lives we've lost. Let this be a truly American moment that rallies the country and the world together and proves that we can still do big things. 20 years ago, under the leadership of President Bush and countless advocates and champions, he undertook a bipartisan effort through PEPFAR to transform the global fight against HIV/AIDS. It's been a huge success. He thought big. He thought large.
My mom's a Biden supporters, Audie.
I believe we can do the same thing with cancer.
A long time ago. I don't even remember who's on my mod list.
Let's end cancer as we know it. Cure some cancers once and for all. Folks.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime.
There's one reason why we've been able to do all of these things. Our democracy itself. It's the most fundamental thing of all. With democracy, everything's possible. Without it, nothing is. For the last few years, our democracy has been threatened and attacked, put at risk, put to the test in this very room on January the 6th. And then just a few months ago, an unhinged, big lie, assailed and unleashed a political violence, the home of the then Speaker of the House of Representatives. Using the very same language the
it's funny how they never talk about any political violence towards Republicans. Right. They never talk about that.
Here tonight
why are you not talking about the Roe v. Wade rioters? Why are you not talking about Antifa? Why are you not talking about any of that stuff? I don't understand. I don't get it.
As strong, as resilient as they get. My friend Paul Pelosi. Paul, stand up.
And we got Paul Pelosi there. Oh my God. Beach to Snow Girl. Thank you for the super chat. G McGee, thank you for the super chat. I'm about to start.
Such a heinous act should have never happened.
Dogcat, thank you for the super chat.
There's no place for political violence in America. We have to protect the right to vote, not suppress the fundamental right.
Yeah, I gotta
honor the results of our elections, not subvert the will of the people. We have to uphold the rule of law and restore trust in our institutions of democracy. And we must give hate and extremism in any form no safe harbor.
He probably is hammered. Paul Pelosi probably is hammered. He probably.
Democracy must not be a partisan issue. It's an American issue. Every generation of Americans has faced a moment where they have been called to protect our democracy, defend it, stand up for it.
Thank you for the super chat.
And this is our moment. My fellow Americans, we meet tonight at an inflection point, one of those moments that only a few generations ever face, where the direction we now take is going to decide the course of this nation for decades to come. We're not bystanders of history. We're not powerless before the forces that confront us. It's within our power of we, the people. We're facing the test of our time. We have to be the nation we've always been at our best, optimistic, hopeful, forward-looking. A nation that embraces light over dark, hope over fear, unity over division, stability over chaos.
Thank you for the super chat.
We have to see each other not as enemies, but as fellow Americans. We're good people. The only nation in the world built on an idea, the only one.
Bro, he gotta stop, bro.
Other nations.
He gotta chill, bro. He need to end this. Wrap this up. Wrap this up. Joe, you've been talking for an hour and 30 minutes, bro. Wrap it up.
That all of us, every one of us, is created equal in the image of God. A nation that stands as a beacon of the world.
And lilies?
A nation in a new age of possibilities. So I've come to fulfill my constitutional obligation to report in the State of the Union. And here's my report. Because the soul of this nation is strong, because the backbone of this nation is strong, because the people of this nation are strong, the State of the Union is strong.
Smack Talker Skywalker 813. Keep
I'm
the
not
hustle
new to
and
this
grind,
place.
spread it, the truth, and open
stand
people's
here
eyes
tonight,
to corruption.
having
Thank you for the
served
super
as long
chat.
as about any one of you have
I
ever
appreciate
served
it.
here. But I've never been more optimistic about our future, about the future of America. We just have to remember who we are. We're the United States of America, and there's nothing beyond our capacity if we do it together. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops.
Oh, my God. Finally.
Thank you.
Finally. Thank God. Thank God this is over. C. Bidron, thank you for the super chat. Steel Stargazers, thank you for the super chat. Star Ross, thank you again. Montias Jackson, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it, guys. What did y'all think about that, man? What did y'all think? Honestly, it was probably one of the most boring State of the Union speeches I've ever heard in my life. I mean, I think that for the most part, he took the safe route. He didn't try to go too hard on the Republicans, except when he accused the Republicans of attempting to cut Social Security and Medicare. That was a low blow. That was just a flat out lie. Okay, and that's the smear that the Democrats are using against the Republicans when it comes to this debt ceiling conversation. Okay, because if you guys don't know, the Republicans and Democrats are currently negotiating budget cuts, along with this debt ceiling conversation, because our country is out of money, or we will be out of money in a few months. And basically, Congress needs permission to continue to borrow more money, right? This happens every single year. They'll definitely end up raising it, but a part of that negotiation is Republicans want spending cuts. And Democrats are using that as a way to say that, oh, well, Republicans want to cut Social Security and and Medicare/Medicaid, which clearly is not a winning issue, right? It's not a winning issue. But again, it's kind of a flat out lie, right? It's kind of a lie. I don't think that Republicans are not trying to cut Social Security, despite what Democrats are saying. So let's see what CNN is saying about this, just because I'm curious. Somebody definitely gave Joe Viagra because he keeps going on. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Joe takes Viagra for sure. He might be on Cialis though. Who knows? What's the difference? I think Cialis, the Cialis last all day. I think Viagra is short term. Right? He might be on this Cialis. K. Scott, thank you for the super chat. Again, Star Rods, thank you again. Raza, the Terrible, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Match Wall, thank you for the super chat. Miranda Panda, thank you for the super chat. He got into his statue. Yeah. I know I missed a video. I'm not cooking for Cocoa Puffs. Stars, thank you again. Marty Smith, fan Sue, thank you for the super chat. Yeah, I think, I don't know, man. He could be on the Hunter Biden, right? He could be on that white powder, right? That's kind of, look at his face, bruh. Joe look amped. He should be asleep by now. Joe should be asleep. It's, almost 11 o'clock. Yeah, he on that Hunter Biden, for sure. He's saying it's a great speech. It was not a great speech, bro. He's on meth, not coke.
Sitting there, and his president turned to me and swear to God, true story. Sitting there, we've met every single day. The president, and he said, Joe,
they got him on something, bro. There's no way he was able to do this. Am I going to show the Republican response? I don't know, man. Honestly, it's late. I want to, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I really don't. Like, I want to go to sleep so I can get up early. But we'll see. I don't know. Bruh, imagine pretending that was a great speech. That was probably one of the most boring speeches I've ever heard in my life. Thank you for the super chat. Kenneth White in Espo, thank you for the super chat. What am I doing tomorrow? Well, I'm going to the gym in the morning. I'm going to try to get up at 5:30, but most likely I'll probably be getting up at like 6:30, 7 o'clock. After that, after I go to the gym, I basically come back home, I eat, and then I just make videos. So that's like 90% of my days, to be honest with you guys. But it's fun. Wow. Do a live stream tomorrow. I don't know, man. I don't know how, like, I don't really like live streaming. And the reason why I don't like live streaming is because with live streams, if I mess up, I can't fix it, you know? And that's why I like doing regular videos, because in regular videos, if I mess something up, if I get something wrong or something like that, I can go back and edit it. But in live streams, you just kind of got to know it, and you got to also, you know, be entertaining at all times, I guess. Maybe not. I don't know. I just don't feel like I'm entertaining enough to do lives by myself all the time, right? I'm very jealous of people who can do lives by themselves, but I might start doing a weekly live show with another person. We'll see. It's something that's kind of in the works, but we'll see if I'll actually end up doing it. But I definitely want to do something a little bit newer or something a little bit different for you guys. And I think doing live streams with somebody else on a regular basis would probably be a good step in that direction. At some point, I want to have a studio, kind of like Joe Rogan. What's that guy? PBD? Patrick, what's his name? Patrick something David. Bet David? Yeah. I want to have a studio like that, or Tim Pool. I want to have a studio like that where I can bring in guests and, I can do live shows and stuff like that. I mean, that's eventually the goal, but it takes time. It takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of resources to get there. And on a day-to-day basis, I like to focus on getting you guys the content that you guys like to see. So, again, a lot of it's going to take time, but I'm definitely trying to work on the next step in terms of what I would want to do with my channel. Because I definitely want to do some more, like, live, like, just regular conversations with people. Like, again, Joe Rogan style conversations with guests and stuff like that with interesting people. But I'm going to need to get my own studio. I'm going to have to do, get, like, a setup and whatnot. It's just going to take time. So, all that stuff is in the works. It's just, I'm still in the planning stages in terms of how I'm going to actually do it and what I want to do. But yeah, I'm definitely at some point going to get a studio and start doing more live streams. Steel Stargazer, thank you, $100 super chat. Was watching a rolling video a few days ago. The comment section was pissed because it was filled with people linking your videos. That's funny. John Eric, Lavone, Star Rise, thank you again. Thank you guys for the super chats. Kenneth Grutter, thank you for the super chats. Katie Dollars, thank you for the super chats. Yeah, be speaking confidence, brother. You got this. We love your work. We know you know your stuff. Millie for Leavenworth, facts. Woke General Miley for prison. Yo, honestly, that dude is treason, bro. He's treasonous, okay? He really is. Like, I mean, this guy literally said he would tell China if the president of the United States decided to launch an attack on that country. Like, that is some crazy stuff, man. It really is. Joe Biden runs for the election. Starting sooner, Republican response. It's 10. Should I stay up for the Republican response? I might have to. If I stay up, I'm just gonna have to not sleep tomorrow. I think that will be the move. I vote for Morgan Freeman. It's supposed to start at 10:30. Well, I don't know. It looks like CNN is going to play it, so I'm just going to keep it here.
I understand. There's 10. There's 10.
We know what they're going to say. I'm genuinely curious about the Republican response. I really am. Like, I want to see what they're going to say in response to Joe Biden's speech. So I'll sit through it. I mean, hopefully they don't take an hour, right? Hopefully it's 15 minutes and done, bro. 15 minutes and done.
How are you?
You made us.
Well, thank you. We're getting our picture taken.
Oh, here we go.
We got a first-rate photographer.
This is my housemate, Brittany Patterson.
Oh, is that right?
No, freshman, yes. We live
All
together.
right.
Yeah. Thank you for what you talked about around the opioid epidemic, and you made us all so proud. You did a fantastic job.
Well, you're trying to say that. I was worried it was just too long, but thank you.
Thanks for talking about it.
This guy.
We really can do so much if we focus.
Who's doing a Republican response? It's Sarah Huckabee Sanders, right? She's doing a Republican response. I'm pretty sure she's doing a Republican response. Yeah.
It really is.
They had I think they had Tim Scott do it. He might have did it. Did he do it last year or did he do it in 2020? No. It's 2023, it's 2022. I think Tim Scott did it in 2020. I don't remember. He did it one of the years. He did it 2021, 2022. I'd like to see you collaborate with ABL one day. Yeah, I'm open to collaborating with ABL. Tatum don't do his he don't do his Thursday night live stream anymore for whatever reason. I'm not sure why.
I think so too. I'm praying for it because it's an opportunity.
We're going to get it done. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your words. They speak exactly to my constituents in my district, and I know that they're really going to appreciate it.
What's your district include?
8th District of Colorado, goes northeast suburbs of Denver. It goes
He has no clue. He has no clue who this person is at all.
I'm just kidding. I'm getting a selfie, please.
Thanks, James, for the super chat. Eric Brown, thanks for the super chat. Star Rise, thank you again. Courtney Smith, Star Rise again.
He's trying to make me feel good. She erased it.
You got to reauthorize it this year, so.
Right. I mean,
Madam President, that was a strong speech, sir. And we're still
They lying
working
to this man, bro.
We're not going to give up, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, I haven't seen AOC. I'm not even sure if they're there.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
How many lies were told? A lot. A lot of lies were told.
Flip it around. I know. Can I get a selfie?
Imagine wanting to get a picture with the worst president in history. Imagine wanting to get a picture with the worst president in history.
No, but seriously, I got a bunch of good ones with me when we can't visit you guys the other day.
Mental health, raised by a mother diagnosed with mental health.
Great job. Great job.
The freshmen are waiting on you.
Thank you. Oh, yeah.
We're so excited. You got us fired up.
Wow. Wow.
that's right.
That was serendipitous. It was fantastic. I'm doing great. We'd love for you to great. That's right. We need you in West Michigan, Grand Rapids. We need you to come. Did you check my profile?
I've done it a number of times. I'll come back.
Talk to your team. Mr. President, we need you to come to Hawaii.
Are you sure?
What are they congratulating this man on? I don't understand.
We're trying to get some Hawaii.
Laffy G, thank you for the super chat. Yeah, I mean, I appreciate you guys, support, whether it be, super chats or cash apps and stuff like that. I mean, I try not to really advertise stuff too much because I don't really like, saying, hey, send me this or send me that. I just like to focus on content, man. And that's just what I do. Courtney Smith, thank you for the super chat.
Thank you for Columbus, Ohio. That meant the world.
Mr. President, and I got invitation. Wisconsin, please come to Hawaii. Can I take a?
Come to Hawaii. Is she telling me to come to Hawaii?
We need to share some.
Some aloha spirit.
Every time I sat down with Barack, he'd start every morning I met with him. And he started off every conversation. You know what the temperature is in Hawaii right now? 79. He'd say 79. Hey guys, how you doing? Take care of mom and be patient with dad, okay?
President, thank you again.
Jimmy, I'm holding up the staff. I'm going to get in real trouble.
Surprise, no Brittany Griner was there. Yeah, no, I'm definitely upgrading. I just upgraded on my computer. I just bought a brand new computer. It's a beast. Even though I don't game, right? I bought it so that it could handle stuff when I end up like expanding and trying to, you know, have a studio or whatever. So I have been using, you know, money on like equipment and stuff like that. I just bought a new computer to handle, you know, this type of stuff and streaming, and also to get my videos out faster. When I am exporting a video, my old computer would do it slow, so it would take like 20 minutes to export a video, and now with my new computer, it takes like a minute, like literally a minute. Like a 20-minute video, I can like get it out there real quick. So. Yeah, and I bought a new mic. Because people kept telling me to buy a new mic. Right, so I bought a new mic as well too. Also bought a new camera, but I haven't started using that yet. I haven't figured out how to set it up. So yeah, I mean, I've been buying new equipment.
Hey man.
Hey, Mr. President, Morgan McGarty, Democrat from
Kentucky. How's that?
I use Windows. Windows.
My 4-year-old asked me to ask you this, if she can come to the school.
I'm gonna try to stay live for the Republican part, but they need to start soon. They really need to start soon. I'm probably not gonna sleep much tonight, but they need to start soon. Is Alienware good? I've heard about that, but I haven't. I've never used it.
People know, they don't know.
That's right. All the time.
And they really do.
Yep. You got it. By the way.
I use Adobe Premiere Pro for editing videos.
And I want to catch up with you again on the California water. We let 500,000 acres go dry in agriculture last year, and I don't know where the food's going to come from.
I don't either. I've been out there so time.
Yeah.
Should probably try building your own PC. Yeah, I did build my my last PC. I built that.
Okay.
Or put it to my friend built it. I didn't build it. He put it together.
The gentleman from Louisiana seek recognition.
I move that the message of the president be referred to the committee of the whole.
All right, I think it's starting now.
Without objection, does the gentleman from Louisiana have a motion?
I move that the House can now adjourn.
The question on the motion to adjourn, those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it. The motion is agreed to. According to the House, stands adjourned until 10 a.m. tomorrow for morning hour debate.
Buy something for your walls. Yeah, I do. I got a flag, but I don't know why I don't. I need to hang it up again, but I don't know. I just haven't got around to it for whatever reason. When are you doing a meet and greet? I'll tell you what. When I go to some of these events, like I went to Turning Point in December. And when I went there, a lot of people recognized me. It's kind of weird, honestly, because I'm not used to that. But when I go to events like that, I'll let you guys know. So that way, you know, if any of you guys are there, you know, you can say hey. But I think I'm going to CPAC in March. I think I'm going to CPAC. I haven't. I might try to get a media pass and go to CPAC in Washington D.C. So you know, it's at events like that maybe. And then, you know, maybe like so I might do other stuff as well too. We'll see. But I don't know, man. I just don't feel like I don't know, like it's weird for me because I've never had this type of, I guess, like attention or whatever, right? Like not used to people knowing who I am out in public and stuff. So I will go out in public, even in my local town or whatever, and people will recognize me. And you know, this weekend I was out of town and I was eating breakfast at a hotel, and a guy was like, "Oh, I know you. Like, you know, you do YouTube. You know, keep up the great work." So, you know, it's a weird thing that I'm kind of getting used to. So, you know, maybe one day I'll do some type of, you know, speaking tour or something like that. But I need to work on my public speaking more. I need to do more public speaking and practice and stuff like that before I would do something like that. So, you know, this is all new for me, and I'm just kind of going with the flow, to be quite honest with you guys. But all those things I want to do at some point in the future. It's just, you know, it just takes time. And right now I'm just focused on what's, you know, what you guys want, which is just giving you guys the content that you like, that you like to see every day. And that's what I'm focused on for the most part. But I am starting to go to more of these events, you know, because I want to be able to kind of get in some of these circles and kind of, you know, do more and I guess leverage connections to get on other platforms and stuff like that. So yeah, so that's probably that's why I'm going to CPAC in March, or I'm probably most likely gonna go. Haven't fully decided yet, but I think I'm gonna go. Please go off the rails when Republicans give a weak response. I don't know, man. I mean, I don't have a rant in me. I'm tired, man. I think it'll be fun. I think
Sanders. Being a mom to 3 young children taught me not to believe every story I hear. So forgive me for not believing much of anything I heard tonight from President Biden. From out of control inflation and violent crime to the dangerous border crisis and threat from China. Biden and the Democrats have failed you. They know it, and you know it. And it's time for a change. Tonight, let us reaffirm our commitment to a timeless American idea that government exists not to rule the people, but to serve the people. Democrats want to rule us with more government control, but that's not who we are. America is the greatest country the world has ever known because we're the freest country the world has ever known, with a people who are strong and resilient. 5 months ago, I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. It was a hard time for our family, particularly our kids, Scarlett, Huck, and George. But we kept our faith and persevered. Thanks to exceptional doctors here in Arkansas, a successful surgery, and the grace of God, I am cancer-free. Through it all, I couldn't help but think about my mom. She was 20 years old and in her first year of marriage when she was diagnosed with spinal cancer. The doctors told her she might not live, and if she did live, they said she'd never walk again. And if she did walk, she'd definitely never have children. The daughter she was told she'd never have was just sworn in as the new governor of Arkansas and is speaking to you tonight. Adversity and fear of the unknown can paralyze us, but faith propels us to charge boldly ahead. We can't stand still in the face of great challenges. You and I were put on this earth for such a time as this, to charge boldly ahead. I'll be the first to admit, President Biden and I don't have a lot in common. I'm for freedom, he's for government control. At 40, I'm the youngest governor in the country. And at 80, he's the oldest president in American history. I'm the first woman to lead my state, and he's the first man to surrender his presidency to a woke mob that can't even tell you what a woman is. In the radical left's America, Washington taxes you and lights your hard-earned money on fire. But you get crushed with high gas prices, empty grocery shelves, and our children are taught to hate one another on account of their race, but not to love one another or our great country. Whether Joe Biden believes this madness or is simply too weak to resist it, his administration has been completely hijacked by the radical left. The dividing line in America is no longer between right or left. The choice is between normal or crazy. It's time for a new generation of Republican leadership.
Facts.
Upon taking office just a few weeks ago, I signed executive orders to ban CRT, racism, and indoctrination in our schools, eliminate the use of derogatory term Latinx in our government, repealed COVID orders, and said never again to authoritarian mandates and shutdowns. Americans want common sense from their leaders, but in Washington, the Biden administration is doubling down on crazy. President Biden inherited the fastest economic recovery on record, the most secure border in history, cheap, abundant, homegrown energy, fast rising wages, a rebuilt military, and a world that was stable and at peace. But over the last 2 years, Democrats destroyed it all. Despite Democrats' trillions in reckless spending and mountains of debt, we now have the worst border crisis in American history. As a mom, my heart breaks for every parent who has lost a son or daughter to addiction. 100,000 Americans a year are now killed from drug overdoses, largely from fentanyl pouring across our southern border. Yet the Biden administration refuses to secure the border and save American lives. And after years of Democrat attacks on law enforcement and calls to defund the police, violent criminals roam free, while law-abiding families live in fear. Beyond our border, from Afghanistan to Ukraine, from North Korea to Iran, President Biden's weakness puts our nation and the world at risk. And the president's refusal to stand up to China, our most formidable adversary, is dangerous and unacceptable. President Biden is unwilling to defend our border, defend our skies, and defend our people. He is simply unfit to serve as commander-in-chief. And while you reap the consequences of their failures, the Biden administration seems more interested in woke fantasies than the hard reality Americans face every day. Most Americans simply want to live their lives in freedom and peace. But we are under attack in a left-wing culture war we didn't start and never wanted to fight. Every day we are told we must partake in their rituals, salute their flags, and worship their false idols, all while big government colludes with big tech to strip away the most American thing there is, your freedom of speech. That's not normal. It's crazy, and it's wrong. Make no mistake, Republicans will not surrender this fight. We will lead with courage and do what's right, not what's politically correct or convenient. Republicans believe in an America where strong families thrive in safe communities, where jobs are abundant and paychecks are rising, where the freedom our veterans shed their blood to defend is the birthright of every man, woman, and child. These are the principles Republican governors are fighting for, and in Washington, under the leadership of Senate Republicans and Speaker Kevin McCarthy, we will hold the Biden administration accountable. Down the street from where I sit is my alma mater, Little Rock Central High. As a student there, I will never forget watching my dad, Governor Mike Huckabee, and President Bill Clinton hold the doors open to the Little Rock Nine. Doors that 40 years earlier had been closed to them because they were Black. Today, those children once barred from the schoolhouse are now heroes memorialized in bronze at our State House. I'm proud of the progress our country has made, and I believe giving every child access to a quality education, regardless of their race or income, is the civil rights issue of our day. Tomorrow, I will unveil an education package that will be the most far-reaching, bold, conservative education reform in the country. My plan empowers parents with real choices, improves literacy and career readiness, and helps put a good teacher in every classroom by increasing their starting salary from one of the lowest to one of the highest in the nation. Here in Arkansas and across America, Republicans are working to end the policy of trapping kids in failing schools and sentencing them to a lifetime of poverty. We will educate, not indoctrinate our kids, and put students on a path to success. It's time for a new generation to lead. This is our moment. This is our opportunity. A new generation born in the waning decades of the last century, shaped by economic booms and stock market busts, forged by the triumph of the Cold War and the tragedy of 9/11. A generation brimming with passion and new ideas to solve age-old problems. A generation moored to our deepest values and oldest traditions, yet unafraid to challenge the present order and find a better way forward. If we seize this moment together, America can once again be the land of the free and the home of the brave. During my 2.5 years at the White House, I traveled on every foreign trip with the president. A trip I will never forget was on December 25th of 2018. My husband Brian and I had just cleaned up wrapping paper that was shoved into every corner of our house, thanks to our 3 kids, when I had to walk out on my own family's Christmas, unable to tell them where I was going that night because the place I'd be traveling was so dangerous. They didn't want anybody to know that the president was going to be on the ground, even for a few hours. We boarded Air Force One in complete and total darkness. There were no lights on the plane, no lights on the runway. Our phones and computers shut down and turned in. We were going completely off the grid. Nearly 12 hours later, in the pitch black of night, we landed in the war-torn part of Western Iraq.
All right, get out.
It was again a similar scene. No lights on the plane, no lights on the runway. The only thing you could see was coming from about a mile away in a dining hall where hundreds of troops who were in the fight against ISIS had gathered expecting to celebrate Christmas with senior military leadership from around the region. They had absolutely no idea that the president and first lady were about to walk into that room. And when they did, it was a sight and a scene and a sound I hope I never forget. The room erupted. Men and women from every race, religion, and region, every political party, every demographic you can imagine, started chanting in perfect unison over and over and over again, USA, USA, USA. It was an absolutely perfect picture of what makes our country great. One of the young soldiers yelled from the back, "Mr. President, I re-enlisted in the military because of you." And the president said, "And son, I'm here because of you." Shortly after, that young soldier came up to me. He said, "Sarah, you have a tough job." I told him, "What I do is nothing. You take bombs and bullets. That's a tough job." And in a moment that I know I'll cherish for the rest of my life, that soldier reached up and he pulled the Brave Rifles patch he wore on his shoulder, and he placed it into my hand, a sign of ultimate respect. And he said, "Sarah, we are in this together." Overwhelmed with emotion and speechless, I just hugged him with tears in my eyes and a grateful heart for our heroes who keep us free. That young man and everyone who has served before him, all of those who serve alongside him, and the thousands we know who will be called upon to serve after him, deserve to know they have a country and a community back home doing our part in the fight for freedom. America is great because we are free. But today, our freedom is under attack, and the America we love is in danger. President Biden and the Democrats have failed you, and it's time for a change. A new generation of Republican leaders are stepping up, not to be caretakers of the status quo, but to be change makers for the American people. We know not what the future holds, but we know who holds the future in his hands. And with God as our witness, we will show the world that America is still the place where freedom reigns and liberty will never die. Thank you. God bless you, and God bless America.
Wow. She kept it short and sweet. I didn't think it was bad. I didn't think it was necessarily, super great either. But, I mean, that was a Republican response. I mean, I really don't have too much to say about it outside of that. It was a good speech. I wish it was a little bit more exciting. Okay, I wish she would have woke me up a little bit. But hey, that's the Republican response. And I mean, that's it is what it is. I really don't have anything else to say. It was solid. It was solid. So, yeah. Let me know what y'all think. When it comes to some of these events like the State of the Union and stuff like that, I definitely gonna try to live stream more. And go from there. But yeah, I thought Biden's speech was boring. I didn't think that it was very high energy. I'm very curious in regards to how the media is going to talk about it. I guarantee you they're going to say it was great. It was awesome. Biden was really, he was a unifier, right? He was a unifier, unlike Trump, right? This is what they're going to say. So we'll see. But, other than that, I'm probably about to call it a night and get to bed so I can get up in the morning, hit the gym, and then get back to work. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. Thanks everybody that sent a super chat. And thanks everybody who just was chatting in general, right? Who, people that just tuned in. I think the comment section, I think the chat was the most entertaining part of this live stream. You guys are hilarious, right? I could just sit here and read these chats all day. So, all right, guys, y'all have a good one. I will see you guys tomorrow.